Hello there. Welcome. You've arrived at just the right time. Now, I want you to take a moment and allow your body to soften. Let your shoulders release, your hands fall gently by your side, your breath begin to slow. You are safe here, and there's nothing you need to do right now, except listen. Tonight, I'll be telling you the entire story of Frozen, from the very beginning, all the way to the end. A story of snowflakes and sisters, of love and magic, and of discovering who you truly are. But don't worry about keeping up. You don't need to pay attention to every detail. You don't even need to stay awake. Let the words wash over you like a warm breeze. Let the story carry you, like a gentle sleigh ride through soft white snow. You can imagine yourself somewhere peaceful, maybe walking through a snowy forest. Pine trees dusted in white, the world hushed and still. Or standing on a frozen lake, its surface shimmering under the softest northern lights. The stars above are twinkling quietly. The wind is slow and kind, and far off in the distance, a castle sleeps beneath the mountains. That castle is in a kingdom called Arendelle, and it is there that our story begins. But before we begin, let's just slow things down even more. Inhale, nice and easy, and exhale, gently. No rush. Let's do that again. Inhale and exhale. You don't have to hold on to anything now. Not the day behind you. Not the thoughts that flutter through. They can come and go like snowflakes in the wind. All that matters now is this gentle moment and the story that's about to unfold. So let me take you back to a quiet, peaceful night in the kingdom of Arendelle, where two young princesses are fast asleep, tucked warmly into their beds. The snow is falling softly outside their windows, and the moonlight spills onto the stone floors, painting shadows of evergreens and icicles across the walls. But in the heart of the castle, in one little room, a little redhead named Anna is wide awake. She's full of energy, full of wonder, and she has a secret idea. She tiptoes over to the other bed, where her older sister Elsa is fast asleep. Psst, she whispers. Elsa, do you want to build a snowman? And just like that, the story begins. But don't worry, we'll go slowly. There's no need to hurry. Just let the snowy tale unfold, as your body sinks deeper into rest. Let the winter air be cool and comforting. Let your eyes grow heavy. Elsa and Anna are just beginning their journey. And so are you. Let's drift into it, together. Far to the north, nestled between towering cliffs and shimmering blue waters, lies a quiet kingdom called Arendelle. It is a place of tall mountains and deep fjords, where forests of pine and birch stretch into the sky, and the sea touches the land with calm, curling waves. The village rests by the water's edge, where stone bridges cross slow-moving rivers, and tiny boats rock gently in the harbor. In the early morning, a soft mist hangs in the air, clinging to rooftops and chimney smoke. Lanterns glow golden in the stillness, flickering against the gray-blue skies of dawn. The bells of the clock tower ring softly, calling to bakers and weavers, sailors and shepherds. Children wrap scarves around their necks. Market stalls open with crates of apples, jars of honey, and pots of wildflowers gathered from the edge of the woods. The people of Arendelle are kind and hard-working, often humming songs from long ago as they go about their day. Life is simple here, quiet, steady, and for a time, peaceful. Above the village, nestled in the cliffs, stands Arendelle Castle, tall and regal, with pointed towers capped in slate. The walls are made of smooth stone, strong and cold, but inside there is warmth not just from the fireplaces, but from the people who live there. Inside that castle live two young sisters. Elsa, the older of the two, is graceful, quiet, and thoughtful. Even at a young age, she carries herself with care. She has striking platinum blonde hair and curious blue eyes that seem to see everything, and something else, something secret. Anna, her little sister, is bright as the sunrise. She's bold, cheerful, and never seems to stop talking. With a head full of red hair and a heart full of wonder, Anna is full of life and full of love, especially for her big sister. They are inseparable. Even when the rest of the castle sleeps, the two girls are wide awake, sneaking across the halls, whispering secrets, giggling under the covers. But Elsa carries a gift, a rare, beautiful magic. From the tips of her fingers, she can summon snow and ice. With a flick of her hands, she can paint frost across the windows, or build a snow cloud in the middle of the ballroom. To Elsa, her power feels natural, like breathing. She doesn't know where it came from, only that it has always been a part of her. To Anna, it's the most amazing thing in the world. One quiet night, as the moon hung high in the sky and the stars twinkled softly over Arendelle, Anna nudged Elsa awake. "Psst," she whispered with a grin. "Do you want to build a snowman?" Elsa opened her eyes and smiled sleepily. She knew what that meant. Sliding out of bed, she tiptoed beside Anna down the grand hall, past sleeping guards and darkened portraits, until they reached the ballroom. With a wave of Elsa's hand, the entire floor sparkled with frost. Snowflakes danced through the air like feathers. In seconds, the whole room had become a winter wonderland. Anna laughed with delight as Elsa built snow mounds, ice slides, and little flurries that chased her like playful birds. They tumbled and twirled, sliding and spinning through the magical world Elsa created. Elsa clapped her hands and a snowman appeared. "Hi, I'm Olaf," Anna squealed, wrapping her arms around it. They giggled and built another and another. They were safe, happy, together. But magic is tricky and sometimes unpredictable. As Anna jumped into the air for one last icy leap, Elsa tried to slow her down with a quick blast of snow. But something went wrong. The snow beam hit Anna in the head. She fell, motionless, into the snow. Elsa gasped, rushing to her side. "Anna! Anna!" she cried, shaking her gently. Anna didn't respond. Panic rose inside Elsa's chest. She ran, screaming for her parents. The king and queen came running. When they saw Anna pale, still, and cold, they wrapped her in blankets and rushed out into the night. There was only one place they could turn to for help, the Valley of the Living Rock, where the trolls lived. The trolls were ancient and wise, made of mossy stone and full of quiet magic. As the king and queen approached the stones, they stirred and awoke, revealing their true forms, squat, kind creatures with glowing eyes. Grand Pabby, the oldest of them all, stepped forward. "She's ice cold," the queen whispered, holding Anna close. Grand Pabby examined Anna gently. "She is lucky it struck her head and not her heart. The heart is not so easily changed, but the head can be persuaded." With a touch of his hand, he drew the frost from Anna's hair. Her body softened. Her breathing returned. "She will be fine," he said. The king and queen let out a sigh of relief. "But," Grand Pabby added with caution, "her memories of magic must be removed to be safe. She must not remember what her sister can do." He closed his eyes, and a soft golden light passed through Anna's mind. When she awoke, she remembered the play, the snow, but not Elsa's magic. Grand Pabby turned to Elsa. "Your powers are beautiful, Elsa, but they are also dangerous. Fear will be your enemy." The words sank deep. Fear would be her enemy. The king and queen took their daughters home. They decided then and there that Elsa must learn to control her powers. Until she could, they would hide them from the world and from Anna. The castle gates were closed. The servants dismissed. The halls fell silent, and the two sisters, once inseparable, were slowly pulled apart. Elsa stayed in her room, gloves on her hands, learning to suppress every feeling. "Conceal it. Don't feel it," she whispered, like a prayer, over and over, day after day. She missed Anna terribly, but she was too afraid. Anna, on the other hand, couldn't understand why her sister wouldn't play with her anymore. She knocked on Elsa's door, day after day. "Do you want to build a snowman?" she would ask. "It doesn't have to be a snowman." But Elsa never answered. The years passed like this. Anna grew bolder. Elsa grew quieter. And though they lived under the same roof, the space between them felt colder and wider with every passing season. Outside the castle, the people of Arendelle saw less and less of the royal family. Rumors began to spread. But inside, everything seemed still, almost frozen in time. One day, a storm rose over the sea. The king and queen prepared to sail, hoping to find answers or wisdom beyond Arendelle's borders. Elsa and Anna said their goodbyes. The sea was rough, but the king and queen promised they would return. They never did. A storm took their ship in the dark of night, and just like that, the sisters were truly alone. The funeral was quiet. The halls of Arendelle echoed with silence once more. Now Elsa was to be queen, but her powers remained hidden, her fear ever stronger. And Anna, still alone, still wondering why her sister wouldn't come out. Time passed like snowfall in Arendelle, quiet, steady, and slow. The grand halls of the castle, once alive with music, laughter, and movement, grew silent. No more echoing footsteps from playful chases. No more warm meals shared in the great dining room. No more snowmen built in the middle of the night. Elsa remained hidden behind her doors. She was afraid not of monsters, or enemies, or the world beyond the castle gates. She was afraid of herself. From the moment of Anna's accident, something inside her changed. She felt the weight of her magic like a heavy, invisible coat she could never take off. Her powers had once felt joyful, an extension of her imagination, her wonder. But now, they felt dangerous, wild, unpredictable. Her parents tried their best to help. They brought in tutors, read ancient books, and searched for spells or charms that might control the icy force within her. But nothing could take it away. It was part of her. So they gave her gloves soft, fine ones and told her never to take them off. "Conceal it," they said. "Don't feel it. Don't let it show." And Elsa did what she was told. She practiced keeping her emotions locked away: joy, sadness, frustration, excitement, all hidden deep inside. Her face became a mask of calm. Her hands stayed covered even in sleep. When her magic trembled beneath her skin, she closed her eyes, counted backwards, and breathed as quietly as she could. Each day, she grew more careful. And more alone. Just outside her door, Anna waited. She didn't understand why her sister had changed, or why she seemed to disappear behind walls. She remembered laughing with Elsa, sliding across magical ice, catching snowflakes on her tongue. But now, her sister's door stayed shut. Still, Anna never stopped trying. On birthdays, she knocked softly and left small gifts, drawings, dolls, even a single candle on a muffin. On snowy days, she sat outside Elsa's room, telling stories to the door, hoping for a reply. She would whisper, "It's me, Anna," and press her ear to the wood. But all she ever heard was silence. "Do you want to build a snowman?" she asked again and again. "It doesn't have to be a snowman." No answer. Not ever. The castle became a place of locked rooms and quiet meals. The king and queen, while loving, carried the constant burden of protecting their daughters from the world, yes, but also from each other. They encouraged distance, believing it safer. Elsa, they feared, might accidentally harm Anna again. And so, two girls who once shared every hour, every game, every dream, grew up side by side, but apart. Anna found her joy where she could. She filled her days with books, exploring the empty halls, and imagining grand adventures outside the gates. She danced with suits of armor, She sang to the portraits. She imagined ballroom dances, daring sword fights, and falling in love. But something was always missing. A laugh that should have been there, a second voice to finish her songs, a snowflake where there was only dust. She missed her sister. Elsa, meanwhile, became a quiet shadow of herself. Every year, her powers grew stronger and harder to hide. If she felt even a flicker of fear or excitement, ice would creep across the walls. Frost would bloom on the windows. Her floor would turn to glass. She spent hours trying to suppress it. Meditation, deep breathing, careful, practiced calm. But some nights she would wake from dreams of snowstorms, heart racing, breath shaking, and find her entire room covered in ice. The gloves helped, but they were only a mask. Inside, Elsa was scared. Scared of herself. Scared of what she might do. Most of all, scared of hurting Anna again. She longed to tell her, to explain everything. But the words stayed frozen in her throat. Time passed. Winters came and went. Anna grew into a curious young woman, clever, lively, and endlessly hopeful. Her longing for connection only deepened. Her imagination became her escape. Sometimes she stood by the castle gates, peeking through the bars at the world outside. She watched families laughing in the square, children throwing snowballs, couples strolling under lantern light. She wanted that. She wanted people, stories, love. She wanted her sister back. Elsa, now in her teenage years, became more withdrawn. Her magic grew even more powerful, responding to every small flicker of emotion. Sometimes, even the air around her would sparkle with frost. Her walls had to be repainted again and again to hide the damage. She no longer went to family meals. She no longer saw Anna. And though they lived just a few feet apart, they had become strangers. Then, everything changed. A storm rose over the southern sea. The king and queen, faced with questions only the world beyond could answer, prepared for a long voyage. They promised their daughters it would be brief, just a journey across the sea to find wisdom and maybe help. They hugged them both tightly, kissed their foreheads, and set sail under cloudy skies. The girls stood in the archway, watching their parents fade into the mist. It was the last time they would see them. The sea that night was cruel. Waves high as hills crashed against the ship. Lightning split the sky. And when morning came, there was nothing left. Only wreckage. Only silence. The news came quickly. And with it, grief. But even their grief was separate. Anna wept openly, alone. She waited for Elsa to emerge, to hold her hand, to cry together. But Elsa stayed in her room, behind a door of ice. She stood at the window for hours, staring at the sea, her gloves clenched tight, her fingers trembling. She didn't cry, she couldn't. She was afraid of what might happen if she let go. And so, the castle grew colder still. Now the two sisters were orphans, and now Elsa was heir to the throne. The kingdom waited, but behind the gates of Arendelle all was still. The days grew longer, then shorter, then longer again. And the sisters remained apart. But even in silence, their hearts remembered. Anna dreamed of Elsa. She remembered her laugh, her smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she made snowflakes float. And Elsa would sometimes press her hand against her door and listen, hoping maybe Anna would be there. But the years had made them cautious, each afraid, one of hurting, the other of being forgotten, one full of magic, the other full of questions. And yet, somewhere in the quiet, hope still flickered. Because love, even quiet, frozen, hidden love, never truly disappears. And soon the world would open again, and the story would begin anew. The sun rose slowly over Arendelle, spilling soft gold across the rooftops and shimmering blue waters of the fjord. The mist that had rested over the kingdom like a blanket began to lift, revealing green hills, tall stone towers, and the silvery peaks of distant mountains. It was coronation day. For the first time in many years, the castle gates were open. Villagers bustled through the cobbled streets, preparing for the event. Bright banners in Arendelle's colors, deep green and royal gold, fluttered in the morning breeze. Market stalls bloomed with flowers. Children wore ribbons in their hair. Bells rang through the air, one after another, their echoes bouncing between the mountains. Ships from faraway lands glided into the harbor, carrying nobles and dignitaries. Horses pulled elegant carriages down the streets. Excitement buzzed through every doorway and courtyard. But inside the castle, Anna was already wide awake. She leapt out of bed, heart racing. "It's coronation day," she whispered to herself, dancing across the floor. Today, the gates would truly open for the first time in forever. For years, she had dreamed of this day, not just because it meant celebration or music or fancy dresses, but because it meant something might finally change. Maybe today, she'd meet someone new. Maybe she'd reconnect with Elsa. Maybe, just maybe, life wouldn't feel so quiet anymore. As she twirled around her room, Anna imagined the possibilities. She pictured elegant guests, glittering chandeliers, candlelight dances, and if fate was kind, love. Real love. "I know it all ends tomorrow," she told herself with a smile. "But so what? I've got tonight." She looked at herself in the mirror, ran a brush through her hair, and whispered, "Don't let the frostbite bite." Elsewhere in the castle, Elsa stood very still, staring at her reflection. The coronation crown rested on velvet nearby. Her gown was beautiful, a regal green with gold trim. Her gloves were new, clean, tight. Her hands trembled anyway. Today, she would become Queen of Arendelle. Today, all eyes would be on her. And today, she would have to remove her gloves. That thought alone made her chest tighten. For years, she had hidden her power, her fear, herself. She had lived behind locked doors, practiced stillness, silence, control. But today, none of that would protect her. Today, the entire kingdom and beyond would be watching. "Conceal it," she whispered. "Don't feel it. Don't let it show." The gates creaked open as morning light poured in. Villagers lined the streets as noble guests entered the grand cathedral, its vaulted ceilings rising like the sky. The coronation was a sacred tradition, a passing of peace and power, history and hope. Inside, Elsa stood before the gathered crowd. A hush fell. She removed her right glove slowly. She reached for the ceremonial orb, then the scepter. Her bare fingers brushed the metal. The cold inside her surged just for a moment. She held her breath. And then, it was done. The crown was placed gently on her head. She was queen. Applause filled the room. Trumpets sounded, and Elsa smiled barely, politely, carefully. The ceremony ended. The guests returned to the castle for a grand ball. The gates remained open. The music began. Anna stood at the edge of the crowd, dressed in green and black. She took a slow breath, gazing around in wonder. The chandeliers sparkled like stars. The food was arranged in towers of fruit and cakes. Musicians played a soft waltz. And there, across the ballroom, was her sister, Elsa. She looked elegant, composed, untouchable. Anna longed to run to her, to hug her, to say, "Do you remember building Olaf?" Or, "Do you want to talk?" But it had been so long. The distance between them felt impossibly wide. So Anna did what she always did, she hoped, and she wandered. Out on the courtyard steps, she leaned against a column, looking up at the stars just beginning to appear. And then, quite suddenly, someone else appeared stumbling backward into her. "Oh," said a surprised male voice. "I'm so sorry." A tall young man stood before her, brushing himself off. He wore a navy coat and smiled sheepishly. "Are you okay?" Anna asked. Yeah, I was just, falling off a boat." He nodded back toward the dock, where a ship bobbed in the water. Anna laughed. "As one does." The man smiled. "I'm Prince Hans of the Southern Isles." "Princess Anna of Arendelle," she replied and gave a small curtsy. Their eyes met, and just like that, something shifted. They talked. They laughed. They walked through the castle halls, finishing each other's sentences, discovering shared favorite foods and stories. They danced in the gallery. They sang a duet of joy and hope and silly coincidences. "Love is an open door," they sang, and for the first time in her life, Anna believed it. Later that evening, under the stars and soft music, Hans dropped to one knee and took her hand. "Can I say something crazy?" he asked. "I love crazy," she whispered. "Will you marry me?" Anna blinked, then smiled wide. Yes. She had found him the one. With excitement bubbling in her chest, Anna led Hans to the great hall, where Elsa stood alone near the throne. "Elsa," she called, breathless. "Can I talk to you? I mean, we both can?" Elsa turned, surprised. "Of course." "We're getting married," Anna announced, beaming. "Hans and I. It all happened so fast, I know, but it feels so right, and I didn't want to wait." Elsa blinked. Her face didn't move. "You can't marry someone you just met," she said, her voice quiet but firm. Anna frowned. "What? You can't, Elsa, you don't understand. This is real." "I'm sorry, Anna," Elsa replied. "I said no." And just like that, the cracks began to show. "You can't just shut me out," Anna cried. "You shut me out for years. Why? Why do you push me away?" "I'm trying to protect you," Elsa whispered. "From what?" "From me." The room went silent. And in that silence, Elsa lost control. Her hand flicked out. Ice burst across the floor, climbing up the walls in jagged spikes. The guests gasped. The Duke of Wesselton backed away, shouting, "Sorcery!" Elsa's face went pale. Her breath quickened. The cold rose from within her, pouring into the world. Without a word, she turned and fled. Out the door, through the crowd, into the night, Anna called after her. "Elsa, wait!" But she was gone. Outside, on the darkened fjord, Elsa ran across the water, her feet freezing the waves beneath her. Ice trailed behind her like a ribbon. She vanished into the mountains, the storm gathering around her. The crowd stood frozen. Whispers swirled. What just happened? Was that magic? Is she a witch? Where is she going? But Anna didn't listen. She looked to the mountains and made a choice. She would find her sister, no matter what. The night sky above Arendelle turned dark and wild, thick clouds rolling over the mountains like waves of smoke. Snow began to fall gently at first, then faster, colder, thicker. It dusted rooftops, blanketed the streets, curled into windowsills, and spilled across the harbor. But this was no ordinary snowstorm. The moment Elsa fled from the coronation, terrified, exposed, and overwhelmed, something within her cracked wide open. For years she had locked her magic away, hidden it behind gloves and silence. But now, there was no hiding it. As she ran across the fjord, her feet touched the sea and ice bloomed beneath them. Step after step, the water froze solid, forming a glittering path across the bay. Villagers stared in awe and fear as she vanished into the night, a silver silhouette swallowed by the mountains and the rising storm. Behind her, Arendelle began to freeze. The warm summer air vanished, windows frosted over in seconds, fountains turned to sculptures of ice. Fruit stands, flower carts, sails and ropes all stiffened, brittle and sparkling. The breeze became sharp and biting. Snow swirled in the square like a restless wind, whispering through alleys, curling around chimneys. In less than an hour, summer was gone. Arendelle was locked in winter. No one knew what had happened. No one, except Anna. Inside the castle, confusion turned to panic. "She cursed the land!" someone shouted. "She fled into the mountains," cried another. The Duke of Wesselton fumed. "She's dangerous. She must be stopped." But Anna wasn't listening to them. She was thinking only of Elsa, her sister, her family, her friend lost and afraid out in the cold. Anna's heart ached. This wasn't what she wanted. None of it. She turned to Prince Hans. "You stay, and take care of Arendelle. Keep everyone calm." "What are you going to do?" he asked. "I'm going to bring her back." And with that, Anna set off into the snow. She didn't stop to pack much, only a cloak, some food, and her determination. She borrowed a horse and rode through the castle gates as the wind howled around her. Snow fell in thick waves. The path ahead disappeared under white. But Anna pressed forward, cheeks flushed with cold, eyes squinting into the storm. Trees creaked under the weight of snow. Streams turned to glass. Birds huddled under branches. Eventually the horse stumbled, frightened by the icy cliffs, and threw Anna off. She tumbled into the snow, cold, shivering, alone. But still, she got up. She pushed forward, one step at a time, until she saw a flickering orange glow in the distance. A small building, warm, cozy, and nestled in the woods. It was Wandering Oaken's trading post and sauna. Anna burst inside, her nose red, her cloak soaked. The shopkeeper Oaken greeted her with a cheerful smile. "Yoo-hoo! Big summer blowout!" Anna blinked. "It's freezing." Oaken shrugged. "We're having a sale on swimsuits." Inside the shop, huddled in the corner, was a man with a thick coat, boots, and an ice pick. His name was Kristoff. And beside him, a reindeer, gentle and big-eyed, with snow dusting his fur. That was Sven. Kristoff was an ice harvester, tough, practical, and not particularly interested in royal drama, but he was a skilled mountain man, and Anna needed help. "I'm trying to find my sister," she explained. "She's the one who started this, I think. I mean, she didn't mean to." Kristoff raised an eyebrow. "So you're tracking the newly crowned queen who froze the whole kingdom?" Anna nodded. "Pretty much." Kristoff sighed. "You don't know mountains like I do. It's dangerous out there." "I don't care," Anna said. "She's my sister." Something about the way she said it with hope, with love, softened him. He agreed to take her as far as he could. They set off into the woods, with Sven pulling a small sled piled with gear. The forest was hushed and bright, blanketed in snow. Trees drooped under the weight. Frozen streams sparkled in the moonlight. The only sounds were the crunch of their boots and the soft chuff of Sven's breath. It was peaceful, almost magical, until something strange happened. As they rounded a bend in the path, something moved in the snow. Anna gasped. A tiny snowman, with stick arms, a carrot nose, and a big goofy smile, popped up in front of them. "Hi, I'm Olaf," he chirped, "and I like warm hugs." Anna's jaw dropped. Kristoff blinked. "Did that snowman just talk?" "Yes, I did," Olaf beamed. "And I can do this." He wiggled apart, his head rolling off and landing beside Anna's foot. She bent down astonished. "Elsa made you?" "Yup," Olaf nodded. "She's amazing. Big castle, snow magic, whoosh whoosh pow." Anna smiled. "Can you take us to her?" Olaf gave a dramatic bow. "Come on, follow me." And so, the strange little group, a princess, a mountain man, a reindeer, and a talking snowman journeyed deeper into the mountains. The air grew colder. The trees gave way to steep cliffs and winding trails. Ice sparkled in the air like floating diamonds. The wind whistled around them, but Olaf hummed cheerfully. Then they saw it. High above, built into the mountainside, a glittering palace of pure ice rose toward the sky. Its towers were smooth and tall, sculpted from magic. Light shimmered through the frozen walls, casting rainbows in the snow. Giant stairs curled upward, delicate and strong. Spires reached for the stars. Anna gazed in wonder. She built that all by herself? Olaf nodded. Yup, pretty great, huh? But inside the palace, Elsa was alone. When she had first fled into the wilderness, she had felt nothing but fear of being chased, judged, rejected. But as she climbed higher and higher, something inside her shifted. There were no people up here. No eyes, no expectations, no gloves. For the first time in her life, she was free. As the wind howled and snow swirled around her, Elsa let go of everything she had been taught: the caution, the fear, the shame. She lifted her hands to the sky and the storm answered. Frost spiraled from her fingertips, painting the air with silver. Crystals grew beneath her feet. Towers rose from the ground. Walls bloomed outward like petals of ice. She sang softly at first, then louder, a song from deep within her. The snow glows white on the mountain tonight, a kingdom of isolation, and it looks like I'm the queen. She spun through the snow, her magic blooming with every note. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Her gloves were gone, her braid loosened, her gown transformed now a glimmering blue, like moonlight on ice. Snowflakes danced around her like fireflies. She had never felt so alive. Let it go, let it go. Turn away and slam the door. She walked through her palace, touching each wall, each stair, each shining pane of ice. It was beautiful. It was hers. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway. And just like that, Elsa was no longer hiding. She stood at the highest point of the ice palace, looking down at the world below the snow-covered valleys, the distant speck of Arendelle, the glittering moonlight on the fjord. She was alone, but she was free, or so she believed. Far below, Anna stood at the edge of the frozen staircase. She looked up at the glittering palace, then back at Kristoff. This is it, she whispered. She's up there. And with that, she climbed, step by step, toward her sister, toward the truth, toward something still waiting to thaw. The icy palace rose before Anna like a dream sculpted from moonlight. Every tower shimmered like crystal glass, each stair carved with delicate patterns of frost. Light bounced and refracted through every frozen pane, sending soft blue and lavender hues cascading along the snowy mountain walls. Even the silence had a kind of music to it, as if the entire castle breathed softly with the rhythm of winter. Anna stood at the bottom of the enormous staircase, looking up at the vast doors of carved ice. A gust of wind passed through her cloak. Behind her, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf waited quietly, watching her with concern and hope. She placed her gloved hand gently on the frozen door. Elsa, I know you're in there. The door opened slowly on its own. A wave of cool air drifted out, soft and dry, smelling faintly of snow and pine. Anna stepped inside. What she saw took her breath away. The great hall of the palace stretched wide and high, supported by glimmering columns of ice. Each one was smooth as glass, swirling with faint blue hues, like frozen waterfalls. The ceiling was vast, open to the starlit sky above, and the snow fell through gently, disappearing just before it reached the floor. Everything sparkled. The walls were translucent, glowing from within, and at the far end of the hall, standing on a raised platform, was Elsa. She looked different, stronger. Her gown sparkled like starlight, and her hair, now unbound from its royal braid, shimmered in a flowing twist. But her face was full of caution and surprise. Anna, Elsa asked softly, not quite believing her own eyes. Anna stepped forward, heart pounding. Elsa, it's me. Elsa hesitated. You shouldn't be here. I had to see you, Anna said, moving closer. I had to make sure you're all right. Elsa looked down, away. Her fingers curled unconsciously at her sides. You shouldn't have come. You don't understand. I can't control it. I don't care, Anna said gently. You don't have to control it. Not right now. I just want my sister back. Elsa blinked slowly. For a brief moment her eyes softened. There, just beneath the surface of frost and fear, something familiar flickered warmth. A memory. The sound of laughter in a dark hallway. A snowman's crooked smile. But the moment passed. No, Elsa said, firmer this time. I left for a reason. I'm not going back. Arendelle is safe from me now. Anna shook her head. No, it's not. Elsa, you froze everything. It's winter back home. In the middle of July. Elsa stepped backward. I didn't mean to. I know, Anna said quickly, but we can fix it. Together, please, just come back, we'll figure it out. I can't. Elsa's voice cracked with fear. Don't you see? I don't know how. The storm outside began to swell. Winds spun around the towers. The temperature dropped. Anna stepped forward again slowly, reaching out. You can. I believe in you. But Elsa stepped away. Her heart raced. Her breath quickened. Please, Anna whispered. Elsa's hands began to glow. Her fingers shimmered with blue light. No, no, she murmured, closing her eyes. Stay away. But her fear rose faster than she could stop it, and with a sudden burst, magic exploded from her hand. A sharp beam of frost struck Anna directly in the chest. Anna gasped and staggered backward, falling to her knees. Kristoff rushed forward and caught her. Elsa opened her eyes and saw her sister crumpled in the snow, her breath caught. No, no, Anna, she cried, running forward. I didn't mean to, but Kristoff held her back. You have to go, Elsa said through tears. All of you. Please just go. And with a motion of her hand, the floor trembled. A loud rumble echoed from below, shaking the pillars. And then, from deep within the palace, a growl. A towering creature of snow and ice rose from the ground, eyes glowing, limbs thick and jagged, shaped like a snowman turned beast. He roared once, thunderously. Marshmallow, Elsa said softly. Make sure they leave. The snow creature stepped forward with a heavy stomp. Kristoff, still supporting Anna, looked at Elsa one last time. She needs help. Elsa's face was blank, but her hands trembled. Just go. The snow guardian roared again. Come on, Kristoff shouted, grabbing Anna's waist and pulling her toward the door. Olaf waddled quickly behind them. Marshmallow chased them down the ice steps. His growls shook the palace walls. Ice shards exploded behind them as he swiped his heavy arms. Olaf squealed as he rolled down the hill in pieces, his head bouncing over the snow. Anna, pale and dazed, clutched her chest. A patch of ice spread slowly outward from her heart. Kristoff helped her into the sled. We have to get out of here fast. They slid down the mountain trail, snow kicking up behind them. Marshmallow chased close behind. Kristoff cracked the reins. Hang on! They sped down a slope, trees whipping past. Olaf shouted from the back of the sled. I don't have a skull. Or bones. Anna winced in pain. The ice in her chest spread further. Behind them, Marshmallow reached out for the sled. With one final twist of the reins, Kristoff jerked the sled sideways, launching it over a small ravine. It crashed down on the other side, splintering into pieces, sending them tumbling into the snow. They rolled to a stop beneath a tree, breathing hard. The snow monster didn't follow. He stood on the ridge, watching them from a distance, then turned and stomped away. Silence returned. Anna sat up slowly, holding her chest. She shivered not from cold, but from something else. Kristoff knelt beside her. "Are you okay?" She tried to nod. It's just really cold." Kristoff saw the frost forming on her skin. "Something's wrong." Olaf reassembled himself nearby, brushing snow off his head. "That was intense. But you know, for a giant monster, he's actually kind of cuddly looking." Kristoff looked at Anna's pale face. "We need help. And I know someone who might know what to do," Anna whispered. "Who?" Kristoff stood. "The trolls." Anna blinked. "Trolls?" Kristoff gave a small smile. "They're not as scary as they sound." He gently helped Anna to her feet, brushing snow from her cloak. And as they began their quiet journey down the mountain, Elsa stood alone in her palace. The wind outside howled, snow curled in the sky, ice crept slowly along the walls. She had thought freedom would bring her peace, but instead, it brought pain. She had hurt Anna, again, and she had no idea how to make it right. So she sat, alone, in a palace made of fear. The forest beneath the North Mountain was hushed and thick with snow. Tree branches hung low under the weight of white, and soft powder blanketed the trails so completely that Kristoff had to walk slowly, keeping one arm around Anna to steady her. Olaf waddled behind them, humming softly to himself, occasionally stopping to pick up his own arm or straighten his nose. Anna's breathing was shallow. Her face had grown pale. Her eyes still held their usual spark, but her body shivered in a way that wasn't just from the cold. Kristoff glanced at her chest. The frost that had started there was spreading. Faint snowflake patterns had begun to bloom beneath her skin, shimmering softly with magic. He swallowed hard. They needed help, and they needed it now. "We're close," he said gently, as much to reassure himself as her. "Just a little farther." Where are we going?" Anna asked softly. "To see my family," Kristoff replied. "Oh," Anna murmured. "So we're meeting the in-laws." Kristoff gave a startled laugh, short and nervous, and looked away. His cheeks flushed, not just from the cold. Through the forest they went, deeper and deeper, until they reached a clearing full of mossy rocks and low, ancient trees. The air felt different here, warmer somehow, as if the very ground carried memory. "This is it," Kristoff said, helping Anna down onto a boulder. "Stay right here." He stepped into the center of the clearing and cleared his throat. Guys?" He called out, a little awkward. "It's me. I brought someone." Silence. Anna raised an eyebrow. "Kristoff? These are rocks." He held up a hand. "Just wait." The rocks around them began to tremble. One by one they stirred and then unfolded, revealing small, round, mossy creatures with kind eyes and round noses. Trolls. Dozens of them emerged, giggling and tumbling over one another. "Kristoff!" one cried. "You're back!" A group of trolls rushed toward him and Anna. "It's a girl!" one troll exclaimed. "She's beautiful. She's human. Are you getting married?" Kristoff held up his hands quickly. No, we're not. This isn't. She's sick. We need help." The trolls blinked. Then from the back of the circle came an older troll, wiser, slower. He moved with the air of one who had lived through many winters. His name was Grandpappy. He stepped forward and studied Anna carefully. Kristoff knelt beside her. She was struck by ice magic. I think it hit her heart. Anna's breathing was shallow. Her skin shimmered faintly with frost. Grandpappy placed a hand over her chest and closed his eyes. A soft glow lit beneath his fingers. He sighed. "There is ice in her heart," he said gently. "Put there by your sister." Kristoff glanced at Anna. "Can you fix it?" Grandpappy looked somber. "If it was the head, yes, but the heart is not so easily changed." The trolls gathered closer, listening in silence. Only an act of true love, Pabby said slowly, can thaw a frozen heart. True love? Olaf echoed softly. Like a kiss? Grandpappy nodded. Yes, a true love's kiss might save her. Anna's eyes flickered open. Hans, she whispered. He's my true love. Kristoff looked down. His face changed just slightly. His eyes, always steady, flickered with something unspoken. Sadness, maybe. Or something else. He stood quickly. We have to get her back. Fast. The trolls murmured among themselves. Grandpappy stepped back and raised one hand. Go, time is running out. Kristoff gathered Anna into his arms and carried her to the sled. Sven was already waiting, pawing at the snow, sensing the urgency. The sky above darkened as they rode out of the forest. The winds picked up. The trees creaked. Snow swirled faster, thicker. Arendelle was still far, but they pushed on, Kristoff urging Sven faster, the sled cutting a narrow path through the deepening snow. Each gust of wind stung their faces. The clouds overhead churned, heavy and gray. The storm was growing stronger. Anna rested her head against Kristoff's chest, her voice barely audible over the howl of the wind. Thank you for helping me, she murmured. Kristoff glanced down. Of course. You didn't have to. I know. There was a pause. You're a good guy, Kristoff, Anna said, trying to smile, even if you smell like a reindeer. Kristoff laughed softly. Thanks, Princess. She closed her eyes, and Kristoff looked ahead, into the swirling snow. He didn't say what he was feeling. He didn't tell her that he hadn't wanted to leave the trolls. That part of him had wanted to stay. That part of him, a part he barely understood, had hoped maybe he could be the one. But if Anna's heart belonged to Hans, he would still save her. That's all that mattered. The sled creaked and shook as they hit rougher terrain. Ice cracked beneath the runners. The wind shrieked down from the cliffs. Trees bent beneath the weight of snow. But still, they pushed forward. They had to. As Arendelle came into view once more, nestled between frozen hills and the frozen fjord, Anna stirred. Her breathing had slowed. Her skin was pale, lips tinged faintly blue. Kristoff helped her from the sled and carried her through the castle gates, which Hans had ordered left open in case she returned. Inside the courtyard, the guards ran to meet them. One gasped at the sight of the princess, limp in Kristoff's arms. She needs a doctor, Kristoff shouted. No, Anna whispered. Take me to Hans. The guards nodded and led them inside. Kristoff set her gently down near the main hall doors. I'll wait right here, he said. Anna managed a smile. Thank you. For everything. And then the doors closed behind her. Kristoff stood there, in the cold, waiting, hoping. Outside the castle, the storm howled louder. Snow lashed the walls. Ice crept higher up the towers. The bay remained frozen solid. Ships were trapped. Fires struggled to stay lit. The people of Arendelle huddled in their homes, blankets wrapped tight, candles flickering. The cold had settled over everything deep and unmoving. And somewhere high in her palace of ice, Elsa felt it. She stood near the balcony, staring into the storm. She had tried to hide from her fear. She had tried to build a world where she could never hurt anyone again. But fear had found her anyway, and it had followed her home. She didn't know yet that Anna had come and gone, that her sister had stood in her arms and begged for love and help and warmth. She didn't know that Anna had been hurt again. All she knew was that the storm raged on, and she couldn't stop it. She lowered her head. The cold never bothered her, but the silence did. The castle was colder than ever. Snow drifted through shattered windows, and a low wind whispered down the stone corridors. The walls that had once echoed with warmth and music were now lined with frost. Candles flickered weakly. The firewood barely caught flame. Hans stood at the far end of the great hall, near the throne. His coat was dry, his expression calm. He looked up as Anna was carried in by the guards, her steps unsteady, her skin pale, the frost curling outward from her chest like delicate lace. "Anna," he said, rushing forward with perfect concern in his voice. "You're freezing." She tried to speak, her lips trembling. Only an act of true love can save me." Hans knelt beside her. "A true love's kiss?" he asked softly, brushing her hair back. Anna nodded weakly. "Yes." He leaned in slowly, his hand touched hers, his eyes met hers. Then he stopped, and he smiled. But it was a different smile now, sharp, cold. "Oh, Anna," he said, rising to his feet. "If only there was someone out there who loved you." Anna's heart sank. "What?" she whispered. Hans stepped back, casually removing his gloves and tossing them onto the hearth. "You see," he said, his voice smooth now, "you were so desperate for love. You were willing to marry a man you had just met." He walked to the window, staring out over the frozen fjord. "I figured, as 13th in line to the throne of the Southern Isles, I'd have to marry into power. Lucky for me, you were so eager." Anna's breaths were short and sharp. "But you thought you could trust me," Hans finished. "That's what made it so easy." He turned, eyes full of triumph. "First, I'd marry you. Then, when Elsa struck your heart, I'd mourn you. Arendelle would see me as the grieving fiancé, and I'd take the throne." He bent down to the dying fire and gently extinguished the flame. Anna sat frozen in disbelief, her body growing colder by the minute. Hans crossed to the door. "Goodbye, Anna." And then he left her there, alone. The fire out, the storm still raging, and her heart slowly turning to ice. Elsewhere in the castle, deep in the dungeons, Elsa opened her eyes. The room was dark and heavy with frost. Iron chains held her arms. Her gown had faded from shimmering blue to a dull gray. She was curled on the floor of a cold stone cell. She didn't remember being brought here. She didn't remember the guards forcing her wrists into cuffs. All she remembered was running. Running to protect everyone. Running from herself. Now she was trapped. She sat up slowly, her breath forming small clouds in the air. Footsteps echoed outside her door. A guard entered and stood quietly beside her. Moments later, Hans appeared. His boots clicked against the stone as he approached. Elsa looked up. He gave her a sorrowful smile. "The people are calling you a monster." Elsa said nothing. Hans knelt beside her, voice soft. "I tried to protect Anna, but you've left us all in danger." Elsa's hands clenched. "Where is Anna?" Hans hesitated just long enough for her to notice. "She asked me to let you go," he said. "But I couldn't. Not while Arendelle suffers." Elsa's breath caught. The chains trembled with frost. "I'm going to do what I have to," Hans said. "You left me no choice." And with that, he stood and turned away. Elsa's fear pulsed like a drumbeat. She pulled at the chains. Snow swirled from her palms. Ice crawled up the walls. With one final surge of strength, the frost exploded from her in every direction, shattering the chains, breaking the walls, freezing the locks. She was free and terrified. She fled the dungeon, racing up the stairs, through the courtyard, out into the storm. Snow slammed against her face. The wind roared, but she kept running through arches and across rooftops until she disappeared once again into the wilderness beyond the castle walls. The storm answered her fear, and it grew stronger. Back inside, Anna remained in the dark. Her breaths were shallow. The frost had reached her shoulders. Her fingers no longer moved. But then, a soft sound. The door creaked open. A small shape peeked through. Anna, whispered a familiar voice. It was Olaf. The little snowman scurried across the floor and knelt beside her, his wide eyes filled with worry. "Oh no," he said. "You look terrible." Anna gave a soft smile. "You're melting," she whispered. Olaf looked down. His twig arms were drooping. His carrot nose was a little soggy. The fireplace embers still glowed faintly near the hearth. "Some people are worth melting for," he said sweetly. Then he glanced at the window, but maybe not right this second. He grabbed a nearby poker and stirred the fire back to life. A tiny flame flickered. Warmth spread slowly into the room. Anna shivered in relief. "I need to get you out of here," Olaf said. "There's a staircase. And Kristoff. He's coming." Anna's eyes widened. "Kristoff?" "Yeah," Olaf said. "He's out there right now, riding across the fjord like a madman." Anna's heart beat faster. Her voice cracked. He's coming?" Olaf nodded. "I saw him. He looked like he had something really important to say. You know, about you." Anna tried to sit up. Her hands trembled. "I have to find him." Olaf helped her stand. Together, they moved slowly through the castle halls, past broken windows, over frozen tiles, down marble stairs slick with frost. Olaf nearly lost a limb twice, but he kept going. At last, they reached the main doors. Anna looked outside. The storm was wild. Snow lashed the ground. The sky had gone pale gray, almost white. But in the distance, through the blur of wind, she saw something. A reindeer. And beside it, a man on foot. Kristoff. He was running toward the castle, his face full of panic, the snow soaking his clothes. Anna gasped. "It's him!" She stepped forward. But behind her, a shadow moved. Hans. He stood at the top of the stairs, sword in hand, eyes cold. "You can't run," he said. "Elsa's gone. Arendelle needs a ruler." Anna turned, her body weak. You won't get away with this." Hans stepped down slowly. "Oh, I already have." Outside, Kristoff pushed forward, shielding his face from the wind. He saw Anna. He ran faster. But time was running out. Anna fell to one knee. The cold had reached her core. "Come on," Olaf whispered, pulling her forward, just a little further. But Anna heard something else now. A scream. Elsa's scream. She turned. And through the storm, she saw Elsa collapsed on the ice near the harbor, surrounded by guards. Hans stood over her, sword raised high. Anna's eyes widened. Elsa was about to die. There was no time to think, no time to choose. She turned away from Kristoff and ran toward her sister. The snow howled louder, the wind roared. Kristoff shouted, "Anna!" But she didn't stop. She ran. And as Hans brought the sword down, Anna stepped between them. And everything stopped. The sword struck ice. Anna had turned to solid crystal, frozen in place. The blade shattered on contact. Hans fell backward. Elsa looked up, gasping, and saw Anna. Still, silent, frozen. Her heart broke. She knelt beside her sister, wrapping her arms around her frozen body. "No," she whispered. "Anna, please." Tears fell. The wind faded. And slowly, the storm began to calm. Snow drifted in softer flakes. The clouds began to part. And then, a sound, a crack. Anna gasped and color rushed back into her cheeks. The frost melted from her skin. Her hands moved. Her eyes opened. Elsa stared in disbelief. "You saved me," Anna said weakly. Elsa held her tighter. "I love you," she whispered. And in that moment, the secret became clear. Love, true love, had thawed a frozen heart. Not a kiss, not a prince, but a sister. The storm had grown into something more than weather. It howled like a living thing, swirling over the frozen fjord and through the streets of Arendelle with icy claws. Snow fell in thick, frantic sheets, erasing the world in white. Wind screamed between towers and trees, lifting drifts into the air, twisting them into blinding swirls. It was a blizzard without direction, without end, born not from the skies, but from fear, grief, and pain. And at the heart of it all was Elsa. She moved through the storm like a ghost, the snow forming wherever she went. She didn't look back, didn't speak. Her skin was pale, her eyes distant, as if the world itself had disappeared around her. Her hands trembled as she moved across the ice, breath fogging in front of her face. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she had to get away. She had hurt too many, lost too much. Her magic, once wondrous and beautiful, had become a force of chaos. She had tried to build a sanctuary in the mountains, tried to escape her past, but her past had followed. Her fear had followed. Her sister had followed. Anna. Elsa paused. Even through the noise of the storm, she could still hear the faint echo of her sister's voice. She remembered Anna's face full of hope, stubbornness, warmth. She remembered the way Anna had reached out to her, even after everything, even after years of silence. But she had sent her away, and now, something felt wrong. Elsa clutched her arms around herself, stepping further onto the vast, frozen harbor. The wind screamed louder. She dropped to her knees. Somewhere behind her, Hans searched through the blizzard, his sword in hand. His eyes narrowed against the snow, his mind turning over He had almost succeeded. Anna had been out of the way. Elsa was about to disappear. With them gone, he could take the throne, all in the name of sacrifice and duty. A tragic hero, grieving a fallen love, a king with a clean story. He spotted Elsa's silhouette through the white mist. Alone, unarmed, vulnerable. His fingers tightened around the sword. This was his moment. He stepped forward, lifting the blade into the air. Elsewhere in the storm, Anna stumbled forward, each step slower than the last. The frost inside her was spreading faster. Now her arms felt numb, her legs heavy. Her breaths came in short gasps, every inhale sharp like icicles in her chest. But she kept going, because through the swirling snow, she saw two things. To her right, Kristoff, racing toward her, his eyes wide, full of panic, his voice lost in the wind. And to her left, Elsa, kneeling on the ice, and behind Elsa Hans, with a sword raised high. Anna's heart lurched. She only had a second. One single moment to decide. She turned away from Kristoff, the one who might have saved her, and ran toward Elsa. The wind tried to stop her. The cold clung to her feet. Her legs barely moved. But she didn't stop. And just as Hans brought the sword down, Anna stepped between them. The blade struck her, but it did not pass through. It shattered. Anna stood frozen solid. Her body turned to crystal ice, arms raised, protecting her sister, a statue on the fjord. The sword fell to pieces on the ice. Hans stepped backward, stunned. The storm fell silent. The wind dropped. The snow hung in the air. And then, slowly, the flakes began to fall. Softly. Elsa turned. She saw her sister, frozen, still. Her breath caught in her throat. "No," she whispered. She stumbled forward, reaching out. "Anna?" She knelt beside the statue, eyes wide with shock, tears filling them instantly. She touched the frozen hand, her sister's hand cold as stone. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." She wrapped her arms around the statue, pulling her close, resting her forehead against the frozen shoulder. And she cried, big, aching sobs. Everything had been for nothing. All her control, all her fear, all her running, and she had lost the one person who had ever truly loved her. The one who had believed in her always. And as she held Anna close, her tears fell like warm drops onto the ice. "Please come back," she whispered. "I love you." A pause. The wind shifted. Then, a sound. A soft creak. A crack. Elsa gasped and looked down. A glow. A golden, shimmering glow was spreading from her arms, across the frozen surface of Anna's statue. The ice began to shimmer, to melt, to thaw. Elsa stepped back, watching in awe. The frost faded. The blue hue softened. Anna's fingers twitched. Her eyes fluttered open, and she took a breath. A warm, full breath. Elsa let out a cry and embraced her tightly. "You saved me," Anna whispered, still trembling. "You saved me," Elsa said, tears streaming down her cheeks. Kristoff ran toward them, stumbling across the ice. "Anna!" Anna turned, smiling faintly, still weak. "I'm okay." Kristoff stopped short, eyes wide with relief. Olaf skidded across the ice a second later, arms flailing. "I saw that whole thing. That was like a true love moment." Grandpappy's words echoed in Elsa's memory. Only an act of true love can thaw a frozen heart. She looked at Anna. "It was you," she whispered. "You were the one. You were willing to die for me." "That's what love is," Anna said, reaching for her hand. Elsa blinked slowly, as if waking up. And something inside her changed. A quiet shift, a realization. The storm had never been something outside her. It had always come from within, but so had the cure. Love. Love would thaw. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and opened her heart. Slowly she lifted her hands. This time, the snow obeyed her. It didn't surge or scream, it danced. She moved her fingers in slow, sweeping arcs, and the wind began to calm. The clouds parted above them, light piercing through in golden beams. The snowflakes lifted into the air, curling upward into the sky, dissolving one by one. The ice beneath them began to melt. The fjord softened. The frozen sea cracked and returned to water. The trees, the rooftops, the courtyards, all of it began to thaw. Arendelle was waking. Hours later, the sky was blue again. The streets of the kingdom shimmered with puddles, and children laughed as warm sunlight returned to the land. The townspeople stepped from their homes in wonder, eyes wide as flowers began to peek through the slush. Elsa stood on the castle balcony, looking down at her people. Her gloves were gone, her hands were open. And the snow, now gentle and calm, responded to her will like a symphony to its conductor. She turned and saw Anna at her side. Their hands met. They were home. The sun rose gently over the fjord. After what felt like an endless winter, the clouds had parted for good. The light was soft and golden, spilling across rooftops, warming the cobblestone streets, and sparkling in puddles where snow had once clung. Green began to return to the hills. Buds opened on branches. Curtains fluttered through open windows. It was spring in Arendelle, and this time it was truly staying. The harbor thawed completely, releasing the ships locked in ice. Fishermen untied their boats. Sailors laughed and cheered. In the marketplace, merchants rolled out carts of fresh fruit and flowers, smiling beneath wide hats and brushing snow from forgotten jars of honey. Children tossed aside their scarves and mittens, running through the square in lighter clothes, chasing sunbeams instead of snowflakes. The whole kingdom breathed out as if they'd all been holding their breath through a long, cold dream. And at the heart of it all was Elsa. She stood at the castle balcony, looking out at her people, no longer afraid. Her shoulders were relaxed, her eyes bright, soft. The breeze played through her hair as she moved her hand gently through the air. A swirl of shimmering snowflakes danced in response, rising like dandelions in the wind, then dissolving in the light. This was no longer magic she feared. It was magic she understood. Love had shown her the way, and love, now, surrounded her. Anna stood at her side, her hair now back in a loose braid, her cloak lighter, her cheeks full of color again. She leaned on the railing beside her sister and gave a contented sigh. "Nice day," she said, grinning. Elsa smiled. "I suppose you could say that." Anna nudged her gently with an elbow. "You know, I still haven't forgiven you for freezing my heart." "I still haven't forgiven you for punching Hans," Elsa replied. "Oh, please," Anna said. That was satisfying, and well-deserved. Down in the courtyard, the man in question, Prince Hans of the Southern Isles, stood between two royal guards. His hands were bound, his expression sulky. He looked over his shoulder just in time to see Anna approaching, arms crossed, and a sly smile playing on her lips. She walked right up to him, standing tall despite being half a head shorter. "You know," she said softly, "you're lucky I'm in a good mood today." Hans opened his mouth to respond and didn't have time to finish before Anna's fist met his jaw. Not hard enough to do damage. Just enough to be remembered. He stumbled back with a groan, the guards catching him before he could fall. Anna dusted her hands off. "I feel much better," she said cheerfully. Elsa, watching from above, gave a quiet chuckle. Later that morning, in the center of the square, the gates of the palace were opened wide. Not for a coronation, not for a royal decree, but for a celebration. Tables were laid with flowers and cakes. Musicians played soft, cheerful songs. Townspeople mingled with royal guests, laughing, clapping, dancing in pairs and circles. Elsa stood before them all and spoke gently. "The gates will never be closed again," she said. "Not to you, not to the world, and not to each other." She looked at Anna, then back at the crowd. "I know now that love is not a weakness. It's a strength." She lifted her hand, and the fountain in the center of the square transformed just for a moment into a sculpture of ice, a spiral of swirling snowflakes and flowers, so intricate and delicate it seemed almost unreal. Children gasped. Parents clapped. Then Elsa flicked her hand again, and the sculpture dissolved into a playful mist of snowflakes, which danced through the crowd and vanished in the sunlight. Cheers rose from every corner. The people of Arendelle didn't fear Elsa anymore. They celebrated her. And amid the laughter, one voice squealed louder than the rest, "I have my own flurry!" Olaf the snowman dashed through the courtyard, spinning in circles beneath a tiny cloud of snowflakes that hovered permanently over his head, Elsa's gift. The cloud moved with him, dropping just enough snow to keep him cool wherever he went. "I'm not melting!" he shouted happily. "I have climate control!" He slid across the flagstones, hugged people's legs, and giggled as children followed him through the square like a parade. Kristoff and Sven watched from a distance, leaning on a low wall. "I still don't get how he's alive," Kristoff said. Sven snorted. "Magic," Anna replied, appearing at his side. "And a little bit of love." Kristoff smiled. "I guess you're full of that." Anna looked up at him. "So are you." They stood in quiet for a moment. Then Kristoff cleared his throat. "So, I was thinking, maybe when things settle down, we could, I don't know, grab a bite? Just you and me? Something that isn't involving a blizzard or trolls?" Anna grinned. "You mean, like a date?" Kristoff rubbed the back of his neck. "I mean, I wasn't gonna say it that bluntly, but yeah." Anna laughed. "Sounds perfect." They leaned close, the breeze fluttering through their cloaks. And somewhere nearby, Olaf whispered, "Now that's what I call warm hugs." Back inside the castle, everything began to change. The once closed rooms were opened again. Curtains were drawn back to let in light. Hallways echoed with voices, music, Footsteps not just of royalty, but of guests, staff, neighbors. The palace was no longer a place of secrets or silence. It was filled with life again. And at the heart of it all were two sisters, Elsa and Anna. They walked together through the halls now, laughing, talking, remembering. Sometimes they even danced. Elsa practiced her magic openly now. She made tiny sculptures appear in mid-air, flowers, snowflakes, tiny skating rinks for the mice in the ballroom. She decorated windows with icy lace and cooled tea for Anna with a snap of her fingers. And Anna, she never stopped marveling at it. Not because it was magic, but because it was hers again. Her sister. Her friend. They stayed up late some nights just talking about everything and nothing. Sometimes Anna would whisper, "Do you want to build a snowman?" And Elsa would smile and say, "Yes." One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and the sky turned dusky purple, Elsa stood on the balcony once more. The air was warm but touched with the soft chill of twilight. She lifted her hand, and a tiny flurry danced above her palm. Not wild, not dangerous, just playful, gentle. A reminder of who she was, and who she'd become. Anna stepped beside her. "Do you think it's always been like this?" she asked. "What do you mean?" Elsa said. "Us. Together. Apart, then together again." Elsa looked at the flurry. "I think we're like the seasons," she said softly. "We change, but we always come back to each other." Anna smiled. "I like that." They stood in silence for a while. Below them, the kingdom settled into sleep. Lanterns glowed along the streets. Laughter drifted up from open windows. Somewhere, Olaf was probably telling bedtime stories to a group of ducklings. And far above, the stars began to peek through the velvet sky. Elsa turned to her sister. "Good night, Anna." Anna leaned her head on Elsa's shoulder. "Good night, Elsa." And the castle, now warm and open, glowed gently in the peace of spring. A new day dawned in Arendelle. Spring had settled in fully now. The air was warm and bright, dotted with the scents of wildflowers and the soft hum of bees lazily drifting from bloom to bloom. Seagulls called gently over the fjord, and the sun sparkled on the water like a million dancing stars. It was a special day, Anna's birthday. And this time, it would be perfect. Elsa had planned everything. Inside the palace, before the town had even stirred, Elsa was already up. She tiptoed through the quiet halls, a basket in her arms and a proud smile on her face. Today wasn't just a celebration, it was a promise, a way to give Anna the birthday she had always deserved, and to make up for all the birthdays spent alone. The palace staff had been sworn to secrecy. Olaf had been told to keep Anna busy, or at least distracted. Kristoff had been handed a checklist. Sven was Sven. Elsa, however, was determined. Every detail had been crafted with care. Anna's favorite food, her favorite music, little surprises hidden in every corner of the kingdom. The path through Arendelle was lined with gifts and ribbons, all waiting to be discovered in a magical birthday scavenger hunt. The final destination would be a grand party with friends, food, and laughter, all centered around Anna, the heart of it all. Elsa took a deep breath and opened Anna's door quietly. "Wake up, birthday girl." Anna blinked, then smiled sleepily. "Is that cake?" "Not yet," Elsa replied, offering her hand. "But there will be. Come with me. I have a surprise." Anna sat up, rubbing her eyes. "Elsa, you didn't have to." "Of course I did," Elsa said warmly. "You only turn. What are you now, 106? Anna threw a pillow at her. Elsa laughed and pulled her out of bed. "Come on. The adventure begins." The day started with a banner falling from the balcony. "Happy birthday, Anna," it read in shimmering gold letters. Anna beamed. "Did you paint that yourself?" Elsa shook her head. "Olaf may have helped. If the R is backward, now you know why." They stepped outside, hand in hand. The palace gates were wide open, and all of Arendelle seemed to sparkle. Elsa led Anna from one delightful surprise to the next. First, there was a giant snowball piñata shaped like a cupcake. Then, a group of tiny children sang a birthday song while releasing butterflies into the air. Anna's smile grew wider with every stop. Kristoff met them by the fountain with a bouquet of wildflowers awkwardly held, some of them upside down. "For you," he said. "I didn't pick them exactly. Sven may have eaten half the bouquet, but it's the thought, right?" Anna hugged him tight. "It's perfect." But through all the laughter, Elsa was starting to sniffle. Just once at first, a tiny little sneeze. But when Elsa sneezed, it wasn't ordinary. A puff of cold air shot from her nose, and with it a little snowball with legs. It blinked. And then another. And another. Tiny, squeaky, bouncing snow creatures like miniature Olafs began popping out of Elsa's sneezes one by one. They giggled, ran around in the grass, and started climbing statues, sneaking into baskets, and trying to eat candles. "Oh no," Elsa whispered. "Not again." Anna raised an eyebrow. "Elsa, did you just sneeze a snowman?" "No," Elsa lied. Then she sneezed again, and 3 more appeared, tumbling into a flower pot. "Elsa." "I'm fine," Elsa insisted. "Totally fine." Kristoff scratched his head. Should she be leaking snow babies? Olaf, watching with curiosity, waved at the tiny creatures. "Hi, I think I'm an older model." Elsa tried to keep going. She pressed forward with the plan: more games, more surprises, but as they reached the docks, her cheeks flushed, and she wobbled slightly on her feet. Anna stepped in front of her. "Elsa, stop." "I just want today to be perfect," Elsa said, her voice hoarse. "You already made it perfect," Anna replied gently. "But now it's time for you to rest." Elsa opened her mouth to protest, then sneezed 5 more times. Snow geese flew into the air and landed in someone's soup. "Okay," Elsa admitted. "Maybe I have a little cold." Anna helped her sit on a bench. The snow geese gathered around, chirping and bouncing, occasionally chewing on tablecloths or hugging people's ankles. Kristoff, being practical, began rounding them up like sheep. Olaf followed behind, offering names to each one. "That's Snorri. That's Flake. That one looks like a Carl." Elsa, now wrapped in a blanket, leaned against Anna's shoulder. "I just wanted to make up for all the birthdays we missed," she murmured. "You did," Anna whispered back. "You gave me today, and that's all I needed." Elsa smiled sleepily. "Next year. Fewer snowmen," Anna nodded. "We'll aim for a snowman-free birthday." They sat like that for a long time, just resting. The sun moved gently through the sky. The clouds drifted. The people of Arendelle passed by with warm looks and quiet smiles. No fanfare, no drama. Just peace. Later, when Elsa was tucked into bed with tea and a warm compress, Anna stayed beside her. "I'll be fine," Elsa insisted through sniffles. "You're queen," Anna said. "You're not allowed to lie." Elsa chuckled, her voice soft. "Okay. I feel like I've been run over by a reindeer." "I can arrange that," Anna teased. Elsa reached for her hand. "Thank you. For everything." Anna squeezed her fingers. "Always." Then, after a quiet pause, Elsa asked, "Do you want to build a snowman?" Anna smiled. "No, I want to build about 15 of them," she said, nodding toward the hallway where the snow geese were still causing minor mischief. They both laughed. And in that soft laughter, in that quiet room, beneath the glow of lantern light, everything felt whole again. 2 sisters, together. Not just today, but every day forward. The days in Arendelle grew longer. Summer rolled gently across the kingdom like a silk ribbon, warm and quiet. Breezes stirred the trees, bringing the scent of fresh hay and sea salt from the docks. The castle windows were always open now, filling its grand halls with birdsong and light. It had been some time since the winter storm had passed. The snow had melted, the shadows had retreated, and in their place came peace. But even in peace, there are whispers. Whispers in the wind. In the quiet hours of the night, when the moon sailed high above the fjord and the castle sat wrapped in silver light, Elsa sometimes woke with a start. It wasn't fear that stirred her anymore. It was something else. A sound, distant, mysterious. A melody, soft, echoing through the hills like the memory of a dream. A voice, high and clear, calling gently from far beyond the mountains. No words, just the feeling of being summoned. It came and went, never angry, never loud, just persistent. Like the breeze before a storm. Like snow that begins to fall without a cloud in sight. At first, Elsa thought she imagined it. The call always came when the world was quietest, when even the moon seemed to sleep. But each time she heard it, it tugged at her. A note just out of reach. A puzzle she couldn't quite touch. And something deep within her stirred. She didn't tell Anna. Not at first. The days went on, and the kingdom flourished. Anna spent her mornings visiting villages beyond the fjord, checking in on markets, attending town meetings, tasting new pastries from curious bakers. Kristoff followed her often, offering his own brand of support, hauling supplies, fixing carts, occasionally being talked into taste-testing food alongside Sven, who took his job very seriously. Olaf took to giving tours around the castle, though his facts were sometimes imaginative. And Elsa? Elsa returned to being queen, but it was different now. She smiled more, spoke more. She hosted open court with the doors wide and the sunlight pouring in. She let children play in the palace gardens. She met with sailors and farmers, dancers and musicians. She created sculptures for weddings and cooled lemonade for children in the square. Magic was no longer a secret. It was a gift. And she used it to bring joy, never fear. But when the moon was high and the windows were open, the melody returned, clearer now. A voice, crystalline and light, winding like mist through the air, calling her name. One night, as the stars blinked sleepily above the castle, Elsa stood barefoot on her balcony, her cloak draped loosely around her shoulders. The wind was cool but gentle. The lanterns below were flickering out one by one. She closed her eyes, and she heard it. Ah, ah. 3 perfect notes. Distant. Melancholy. Beautiful. Her breath caught. She opened her eyes and looked out across the water, toward the horizon. There, beyond the fjord and the forests and the farthest peaks, was something she couldn't see, but she could feel it. A presence. A truth. Something waiting. Not danger, not darkness, but a beginning. The next morning, Anna found Elsa watching the sunrise. "You're up early," Anna said, sitting beside her. "I didn't sleep," Elsa replied softly. Anna yawned. "Is something wrong?" Elsa shook her head. "No, just different." Anna tilted her head. "Elsa, is everything okay?" There was a pause. "I keep hearing something," Elsa admitted at last. Anna blinked. "Hearing something?" "A voice, a song, at night. It comes from somewhere far away, but it's always the same. Like it's calling me." Anna was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Well," she said gently, "you've always heard things the rest of us can't." Elsa smiled too. "That's true." Anna leaned her head on her shoulder. "If it's something real, I'll help you find it. I know you will." They sat there in the light of the morning, 2 sisters close as ever, holding both the peace they had found and the mystery that still waited. The wind stirred Elsa's hair, and for just a moment, she heard it again. Ah, ah. That evening, Elsa stood at the edge of the palace gardens. The stars were waking, the crickets chirped softly beneath the hedges, fireflies blinked in the still air. She moved her hand gently through the air, and tiny snowflakes spun around her fingers. Her magic answered her call, as always. But now, something else was calling too. She didn't fear it. Not anymore. She had learned that love, real love, doesn't mean hiding who you are. It means following the truth inside you, wherever it leads. She looked toward the north, to where the hills rolled into forest, and the forest faded into mist. Something was out there. Not a danger, a discovery. She breathed in deeply, and for the first time, she was ready. But that is a story for another time. Hello again. You've made it to the end. And now it's time to slow everything down, even more. There's nowhere left to go. Nothing left to figure out. All the snowflakes have landed. All the songs have faded. And all that's left is stillness. So let's take a long, slow breath. Inhale. And gently exhale. Once more. In and out. Now rest. You followed Anna and Elsa through snowstorms and songs, through warm halls and cold castles, frozen fjords and flickering lanterns. You've walked beside them through the hush of winter. You've felt the sting of ice and the warmth of love. Let's remember it now, slowly, like a dream. Once upon a time, in the quiet kingdom of Arendelle, 2 little girls played in a great stone hall. Their laughter echoed through the night. Elsa, quiet, careful, powerful. Anna, bright, brave, full of wonder. They made snow inside the palace walls. They built a snowman, a little one, with stick arms, a carrot nose, and a smile that never faded. His name was Olaf. They were young, they were safe. They were sisters, and they were everything to each other. Until one moment of magic changed everything. A flash of ice, a cry, a memory taken away, and a door quietly closed. Years passed. The castle stayed silent. One sister locked herself in, the other knocked, and no one answered. The world outside kept turning. The fjord rose and fell. Seasons changed. And then a coronation. Elsa's gloves were tight, her heart was tighter. Anna's smile was wide, her spirit open. A mistake, a fear, a secret revealed. And summer was gone. Through the mountains, Elsa ran her footsteps, freezing the sea behind her. A castle made of snow. A gown spun from starlight. The air sang around her. Let it go, let it go. She believed for a while that solitude was safety. But even in a palace of shimmering ice, loneliness found her. Anna chased after her. Along the path, she met Kristoff, a mountain man with kind eyes, and Sven, his loyal reindeer and best friend, and Olaf, alive again, full of hugs and wonder. Together, they found Elsa. But fear returned. A single touch, a frozen heart. Anna's breath, growing slower. The trolls welcomed them with light and song. But the cure? Not magic. Only love. Real love. True love. Anna returned. To the castle. To Hans. To the one she thought could save her. But Hans was never her hero. He left her to freeze, and imprisoned Elsa. 2 sisters divided again. Elsa broke free. The storm worsened. And at the heart of it all, Anna made a choice. She saw Elsa, saw the sword, and stepped between them. Time stopped. The sea froze. And Anna turned to crystal ice. Still, silent, cold. Elsa wept. And in that sorrow came the answer. Love. Not a prince's kiss. Not a grand spell. Just love. A sister's love. And the storm melted. The snow stopped. The sun returned. Anna opened her eyes. Elsa smiled again. And Arendelle bloomed. The gates stayed open. Olaf got his own flurry. Kristoff gave flowers upside down. And spring, real spring, finally arrived. Elsa no longer feared herself. Anna no longer waited at the door. They were together, at last. And still, something sang. Far away, across the mountains, a voice began to whisper. Not in words, but in melody. It called, softly, like wind through trees, like water beneath ice, like a truth waiting to be found. Elsa heard it, and one day she would follow it. But that's another story. Right now you are here, not in a castle or a forest or a kingdom made of stone. You are in your own quiet place, somewhere warm, somewhere gentle, where stories soften and silence begins. Let's rest here. Imagine a snowy hill, one that rolls gently under a deep blue sky. The stars above are just beginning to shine. There's no sound, except maybe the hush of the wind through pine trees, or the slow drift of snow falling from the highest branch. You are lying on a blanket made of soft wool, a warm drink nearby, a fire not far off crackling softly in the distance. No one needs anything from you now. There's nowhere you have to be. The world is wrapped in peace. You are wrapped in peace. Somewhere nearby, Olaf is telling a story to a family of squirrels. He's using stick puppets. They're very impressed. Kristoff is tuning his lute. He plays a quiet chord. Sven hums along. Anna is writing a letter by lantern light. Her face is calm. She looks out the window and smiles at the stars. And Elsa? Elsa is outside, tracing frost in the air. Each movement of her hand creates a swirl of snowflakes that dance and disappear. The sky above her is dark, but kind. She listens. That soft voice calls again. She closes her eyes and lets it go. Now, slowly, let's let go too. Let go of your day. Let go of your thoughts. Let go of your to-dos and your should-haves and your maybes. Just be here. Just breathe. Inhale and exhale. That's all. Again, inhale and exhale. Feel your body melt into the bed. Feel your eyes grow heavy, your arms loose, your breath slow and quiet. The snow falls in your mind now, soft, silent, safe. Everything is still. The story has ended. The songs have stopped. The storm has passed. You are safe. You are warm. And you are not alone. You are surrounded by soft snow, by quiet magic, by light. Let your thoughts drift like snowflakes one by one, floating down. Let the last words echo gently, fading into your dreams. You are safe. You are warm. And the story has ended, but your dreams are just beginning. Good night. The story has ended, and now we're simply drifting. Let your mind stay soft. Let your body grow still. There is no need to hold on to the story anymore. You've walked the path. You've seen the magic. You've followed the journey all the way to its gentle, glowing close. And now, you are free to rest. Think of the snow again. Not the storm, but the soft kind. The kind that falls slowly, like feathers from the sky. The kind that hushes the world, that silences everything but the heartbeat of the earth beneath it. Each flake drifts lazily. No hurry. They land one by one on pine branches, rooftops, gentle slopes, and wide frozen lakes. The trees are still. The sky is clear. You are lying in a sleigh, tucked under thick furs, the snow falling silently around you. Your hands are warm. Your breath is soft. And above you, the sky twinkles with stars, more stars than you could ever count. They flicker and pulse like tiny dreams, waiting. Far in the distance, you can see Arendelle glowing softly, the lights from lanterns in the windows, the gentle curves of rooftops resting under a dusting of frost. It looks like a painting, a memory, a lullaby. Somewhere in one of those windows, Anna and Elsa are sitting beside a fire. No crowns, no pressure, just sisters, just laughter. Olaf is curled up nearby, not sleeping, just watching the flames dance. He hums to himself softly, like snowflakes trying to sing. And Kristoff? He's outside with Sven, brushing snow from the stables and humming an old song from the mountains. Everything is calm, everything is slow, and so are you. Feel your shoulders sink, feel your jaw loosen, feel your breath steady in and out. There is nothing to chase, nothing to fix, just softness, just quiet. Just snow. Imagine a frozen lake in the woods, still as glass, smooth as silk. You step onto it, carefully, quietly, and it holds you steady and silent. The wind brushes against your face. The trees line the shore like tall guardians, their limbs heavy with snow, but not bending, just waiting. Above, the sky is a canvas of stars. One of them shoots across the heavens like a silver whisper and disappears behind a mountain. You make a wish not because you need to, but because it feels nice. And you let it go. Nearby, a group of snow geese, tiny, squeaky snow creatures, are tumbling down a hill, giggling as they go. They don't worry about where they'll land. They don't think about yesterday or tomorrow. They just roll and laugh. You watch them, and you smile. Their joy is simple. Yours can be too. Now you are gliding slowly across the lake, not walking, but floating. Your feet never touch the surface. The ice glows faintly beneath you, as if there's starlight trapped inside it. You move without effort, not pulled by anything, just gently carried. A hush falls over everything. No voices, no worries, only wind and snow and light. You close your eyes for a moment, and it feels like flying. You land on the other side of the lake, where an evergreen forest awaits you. The trees are tall, but welcoming. They seem to part as you walk through, branches shifting to make room. A fox peeks out from beneath a bush, yawns, and curls back into a ball. A deer nibbles on bark. A family of birds sleeps huddled together under a snowy ledge. Everything is in its place. Everything is at peace. And you are part of it all. Let your thoughts be like this forest. Quiet. Still. Natural. There is no need to analyze, no need to plan, no need to reach. You are not missing anything. You are not late for anything. You are not behind. You are not too much or too little. You are just right. Just as you are. You come to a clearing in the forest. There's a small wooden cabin. Smoke curls from the chimney. A fire glows in the window. You open the door, it's not locked. Inside, the cabin is warm. Blankets, a kettle, a soft chair beside the hearth, a bed with thick quilts and a view of the moon. It's waiting for you. There's no one else here, just you in the quiet. And yet, you don't feel alone. You feel held. You sit in the chair for a moment. Watch the flames dance. Listen to the pop of burning wood. Smell the steam rising from the kettle. Then you rise, move to the bed, and settle beneath the covers. The mattress hugs you. The quilt tucks you in like a lullaby. You let your head rest into the pillow. Your eyes flutter closed. And now, you drift. You may dream of frozen forests, of silver wolves that howl at moonlight, not in warning, but in song. You may dream of Elsa gliding across a field of stars, or Anna playing hide-and-seek with Olaf through flower-covered hills. You may dream of flying over Arendelle in the arms of a northern wind, or dancing beneath the aurora with snowflakes that glow like fireflies. Wherever your dreams take you, let them. There is no wrong turn, only drifting paths that spiral like snow. Breathe again now. Inhale and exhale. Let your chest rise and fall, slow and safe. Let your muscles melt. Let your fingers go soft and still. The story is over. The journey is done. But dreams go on. You are safe. You are warm. You are loved. You are enough. Right here. Right now. No effort, no expectation. Just being, just resting, just dreaming. The room is quiet now. The cabin glows faintly with firelight. Outside, the snow continues to fall. Slowly, patiently. Each flake lands without rush, without force. And one lands softly on your cheek. You don't wake. You smile, and sleep holds you. You are safe, you are warm, and the story has ended, but your dreams are just beginning. Good night, friend. Sleep well. Sleep deeply. Sleep long. The snow will still be here when you wake, and the story will wait for you, if ever you wish to return.